Welcome to another episode of School of Performance, episode 18, with Glenn Gravengard, a good friend of mine. We've known each other for years. This whole project, its purpose is to give positive value to our viewers and whoever joins us now and who will watch this in the future. And here we go. Yeah, Glenn, how are you?
I'm good, Sean. How are you?
Good to see you, man. It's been a while.
I know.
This is the first one we're doing in English, which is exciting, and you get that privilege and right, and I get that right to interview you and work with you a little bit.
Good, because I only know English.
Wait, what language in the Philippines? I may sound stupid here, but what language do you speak in the Philippines?
Oh, Filipino, but there's so many dialects, man.
Oh, really?
150.
Is it like Chinese or it's like Mandarin? Really?
Yeah, there's 150 dialects. Yeah.
Oh man! So how do you deal with that? Like, how do you go about that?
I
You just
don't.
got one. You just got one that you know, and then
I just got one.
49.
I only know Tagalog. Well, my mom speaks Ilonggo. It's called Ilonggo.
That's so cool. I never knew that.
But honestly,
really
I
sweet.
don't even know that much Filipino.
And then what? Each area has its own dialect, like it goes by location.
Yeah.
That's crazy. See, I already learned something, man. We haven't even started.
So much. Oh my god.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you personally, but a lot of people that will join us and they will say, "There's that sound in the background. Do you hear it? Do you want to try? Like, can you hear it too?" And then we'll edit it out.
I don't
It's
hear
like
you.
there's an echo. Let's see. Maybe it's me. If I change it.
I don't hear anything.
Let's see if it's better now. Say some. No. Cool. Now we'll keep going. So yeah, tell me a little bit about yourself, and for those I know you personally, but for those that will join us here and will watch us in the future, who is Glenn Gravengard?
Who am I? The question we all want to know throughout our lives. Where do I start? I was born and raised in Vancouver. I am the youngest of three, so I have a brother and a sister, and then I had my mom. She's Filipino, so single mom. Grew up without a father. Part German, part Filipino. Background, I think the biggest thing for me that had the hugest impact on my life was basketball. So I started playing basketball when I was about 9 or 10, and I went to John Oliver Secondary School, and our school wasn't really known for its athleticism or athletics. Not even neither of the academics. Is pretty sad at the time. And played basketball for 5 years there, and it's so funny when you look back, because I'm 32 now, and that was like 15 years ago plus. You look back at it, it's like I remember the one thing that one of the coaches told me, and the teachers, was that there hadn't been a college player in 24 years developed from that school.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
And so I remember they told me when I was 15, and he told me, and in my head, I just said, well, I guess I'm going to be the first in 24 years. It was
like a fact at that point.
Yeah, just like a response. And so played at John Oliver, got a full scholarship to Quest University just out of for first year. Was going to play at Langara, but decided to go to the school because I knew the coach personally. He's a good friend of mine. And then after that first year, I decided I wanted to do more and play at a higher level. So trained my ass off and played for the University of Western Ontario the next year. Got recruited by them just through the grapevine. And then came back from UWO just because my mom got sick. So decided to stay in Vancouver. wanted to go back, but decided to stay in Vancouver. And I didn't think I was going to play college anymore because it was 2 weeks before training camp usually started. And lo and behold, I'm at the Drive basketball gym, and Jordan JY was there.
JY.
Yeah, he's our coach, for those of you that don't know. And I was training, just continued to train every single day. And he came up to me, he's like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "I'm Glenn." Like, "Where'd you play?" I was like, "Oh, I was at UWO last year." He's like, "Are you playing next year?" I'm like, "No, I don't. I actually don't have a team. I think I'm gonna sit the year out." He's like, "Nope, you're coming to one of the tryouts. Sign here." No, came to the tryout, and the rest is history. I played at Cap for 2 years. I played with you.
That's what we were at, yeah.
Yeah, played with a bunch of homies. And I think
that was a great team, man. So much character on that team. I still have that picture. Mike Zayons, Connor Mahana, Connor Lewis, a bunch of good guys. Even the coaches, Matthias, JY, Chris Ufford.
Yeah.
Cam Yates. Oh, so many guys.
So many guys. We were all like a close-knit bunch of guys.
Family.
Too.
Yeah, man.
Don't forget Luke. Can't forget Luke.
James Long.
James Long, yeah. Yeah, I played there 2 years. And I think that was, after the first year, was probably the hardest I've ever worked to achieve something in my life in terms of basketball. I'll just go through the story. I'm just kind of trying to remember. After the first year at Cap, I decided that, again, I wanted to be a better basketball player. And looking back at it, it wasn't just a better basketball player. I think for me, it was just a better version of who I was and what I wanted to achieve, and to just be able to tell myself that I was good enough to achieve these goals, good enough to be a great basketball player. And so I made the decision that I was going to train pretty much every single day. Looking back at it, I would wake up at 5 a.m. every single day. I didn't have a car at the time, so I'd bus to the gym. And this was my schedule. Wake up at 5, get to the bus stop by like 5:45, 6, take the bus to the gym. It was Sunset Community Center. Took me about an hour, because it's like a bus, SkyTrain, a bus, and then another bus. Out there by like 6:57 every morning. And my goal was to shoot 500 shots every single day, whether it was, jumpers, 3-pointers, off screens, off the dribble, whatever it was, free throws, anything. It was to shoot 500 shots. And I did that. I actually did more. And I did that Monday to Friday. So I trained from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. I would work from 9 a.m. to 5, and then I'd bus and SkyTrain to my gym to work out. So I lifted for about an hour and a half. And I just repeatedly did that.
Just every day?
Every single day, Monday to Friday. And then Saturday was like, the men's leagues, or just training with the team.
This is during the summer?
Yeah, this is during the summer. And then our summer is about 5 months long before the preseason started. I think, I can't even remember. I think I ended up shooting about 50,000 shots in the 5 months. I exceeded the goal.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. And I remember the reason I did it was because I heard. Do you know who Les Brown is?
I've heard the name.
Yeah, you should. If anyone listening to this podcast, you should listen to him too.
Yeah, we'll put it up in the comments later.
Yeah. There's a bunch of people, but Les Brown I listened to a lot back then. And he said the difference between people that are successful and unsuccessful is this word willingness. And what he meant by that is, so you have a goal or a promise to yourself. What are you actually willing to do to go get it? Are you willing to wake up earlier than normal? Are you willing to go through a lot of mental, not just physical pain, because there's a lot of physical pain when you're going through the training, like the working out and all that stuff. But it's
Pushing your
also,
body.
yeah, it's not just the physical pain. It was the mental pain of when that alarm clock turned on. Are you willing to wake up at 5 o'clock? Are you willing to say no to the little voice in your head that says just go back to sleep, or just turn over and you can wake up in an hour. You'll just miss one day. It's fine. It's just one day.
Doesn't matter. It's all good.
It doesn't matter. It's just one day. But then I listened to Eric Thomas too, who's another guy. He's like, if you miss just one day of training, that could push you back 6 months, a year, 2 years. And you don't know. You don't know if that one day, and I had so many days in the morning where I'm there by myself, where I had so many aha moments, where if I didn't go that day, I wouldn't have known that about myself. I wouldn't have known that about my name. And so I never missed a single morning when I was doing that. And it was just because I heard this one little thing that he said. You could push your goal or dream back 6 months, a year, 2 years, and I wasn't willing to do that. And so he talked about willingness, Les Brown, and said, what are you willing to do? Are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to put in the time, the effort, away from what you actually want to do, hang out with friends, whatever it might be? And so,
where is it on your priority list? Like, how bad do you want it?
Yeah, exactly. It's priority. It's not that I don't have time. It's what is your priority? What is your number one priority? What is the number one promise to yourself? And so I did that. And the next year, we played together. I felt like I was a different man. I was a different person playing.
You're a beast. You're no man. I remember physically. I don't know if we ever spoke about this, but I wrote a little bit in the bio for this. But I remember it was right around the time for me personally where I realized you can't just go based on talent. Like if you want to make something of yourself, I think in every avenue of life, you got to do the work. You can't just come in there with your pre-existing knowledge and thinking you got to step above the competition. It was around my second year at Cap, third year at Cap, where I realized you got to work. And and honestly, like I remember doing the work I thought was hard at the time, and then seeing you freaking go 10 levels above. Like if we were doing planks and I'm done and I think that's all my body could find, and I see you still doing like 4 more sets, I was like, okay, I guess I could do more. It really defined, honestly, seeing your work ethic. I don't know if we ever talked about it, but seeing your work ethic really defined for me that you don't listen to your body. Like your mind dictates how hard you can work. Like your body's capable of so much more than we can ever fathom. And you see it to the extremes. But if we talk about ball and college and all that, it's like you push yourself and you do a little workout and you think you did your thing. And then you see someone like you, or I see someone like Zeons, or like all these great guys I had around me at the time. And Matthias had a great influence on me. But I saw your work ethic in the gym and on the court and realized that, okay, you can do more. Not only you can do more, you can do a lot more. And then you can be satisfied. Like being satisfied with these little half-ass workouts isn't going to cut it, right? And we never spoke about this, but I remember seeing it and just like your mentality and what I wrote in the thing. I really do believe that unwillingness to take no for an answer. Like whatever you had on your mind that summer, whatever you had on your mind that year was going to happen. It was a full-blown fact. Like you were going to make it happen. And that's so much stronger than, all the physical side. Like if you're going to will yourself to make that thing happen. Yeah. And it was really cool to see. It's interesting for me, if you want to get into it, the whole, these haha moments. What was that like? It sounds really intriguing. Like what met you along the way with that training?
What I meant by the aha moments is when you're in the gym by yourself and you're shooting or doing dribbling drills or coming off screens, or I remember I would put a big hockey net as my defender because you need to go wider. A chair to me wasn't enough, so I put this huge hockey net because you go around it, right? It's a little wider. It's as if someone's shuffling, right? And so I had a lot of aha moments while I was training. Like, for example, it's little things. Okay, if I point my toes down when I shoot, the ball goes in more.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't jump forward, the ball goes in more. If I lower my shoulder just another inch, I can go past my defender. If I shuffle this way and I push the ball forward and I do a reverse layup rather than this, there's just so many things. And like I said, if you miss that one day of training, and this goes to all your viewers that are, it could be anything, basketball, if they're running a business, if they're whatever, it could be anything. If you miss that one day because you chose to sleep in or you chose not to go, it could mean the difference between 6 months, a year, 2 years pushing your goal back. And I'll never forget when I said that, because it's so
That's
true.
so true.
It's so true. And so throughout that journey, I think that I had the physical and the practice side of things down, and I had the certainty down with that. But what I found difficult for me, and I think a lot of people go through this too, is the uncertainty during the games. And for me, it was, I would get into my head too much. I would let fear take over. And when I look deep, deep, deep within, I think the number one thing for me that I cared about most was I cared too much about what other people thought of me. That's number one. And then number two, I just felt like I wasn't enough. And that was not because of the coaching. It wasn't because of any of that. It was because of my own self-doubt that would creep into my brain before games. And I remember that year I played okay. I didn't play to my full potential. I know I didn't. And I was disappointed in myself for that year and the stats that I put up, but I was proud of the fact that I knew that that was something I needed to overcome. And so I did the same thing the next year. I did the exact same thing the next year, because my next goal was to play for UBC.
Like the next summer, right? That next off season, you mean?
Yeah, the next off season. So from Cap to UBC. And so I did the same thing every single day. Woke up at 5, got to the gym at 7, worked from 9 to 5, worked out at the gym from 5:36 to 7:38, got home, slept, did repeat, you know, and it was like clockwork. And I did that every single day. Walked on the team. Jordan helped. He knew the head coach, of course, because he played there. And I walked onto the team. And again, for me, it was the mental thing. There were some games that I played well. I can remember the specific game where, I mean, my stats weren't crazy. I had like maybe 12 points, 6 assists or something like that. But it was one of the most memorable games for me, just because I remember at the buzzer I hit a 3-pointer, and I look up and my brother just got there in his police uniform, because it's a cop, and he was in the stands and he looked at me smiling. He's like, "Good shot." That's just like a random game, but that was one thing that I struggled with, and so I looked into it, and I was just like, I always wondered why this was happening to me before games. And sometimes during games. And so I looked to a mentor that I just came across like randomly, and it was Tony Robbins. I don't know if you guys know Tony Robbins. He's just known for his psychological work with athletes and just people in general. And one thing that, well, there's a lot of things that I took from him, but one thing that I really took from him was being able to put yourself in a state of certainty. And the way he explains it is through visualization. And so before and after UBC, I did the same thing the next year in terms of training to go play pro in the Philippines. Did that for actually, I'll get into that. I went to the Philippines.
We'll get into everything more later too. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I went to the Philippines in search of a pro contract. had an agent and everything, had everything set, had my citizenship taken care of, all that stuff. I was there for the tryout. The coach wanted me to play on the team and everything. And then my citizenship didn't go through in time for the draft.
No way.
Yeah. So, and it was, I'm the only one to blame. It was just timing. I didn't know. I just didn't know at the time. And it was just timing. So it didn't go through in time for the draft. So I was sent home. And I remember feeling so like lost. I remember like crying in my like room alone and just like believe in God, and you can call him or her, whatever you want. But I was just like, God, why would you bring me to the Philippines and do all this stuff and train all these years, put all this time and effort into this, and just take away my dream? I'm getting like emotional just thinking about it. Just because it was tough for me at the time. I felt super lost, didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. Was home, didn't have a job. And to combat that, I remember waking up at 5 a.m. and just running, just going for a run. And I would run up this hill on Royal Road in Burnaby. And it was just this huge uphill battle. And it's just like a metaphor for what my life was at the time. But I really did want to play pro, so I kept on pushing.
So you got back to Van and like right back to training?
Right back to training. I remember I would train at BCIT just because it was closer to my house. And the gym was empty from 6 to 8, so I pushed my training time from 6 to 8 instead of from 7 to 9. And I'd be there every single morning. And I look back at it, and I think the number one thing and I have no regrets, obviously, but I think the number one thing that I could have done differently is train with someone else, because I was always alone. I always trained by myself, but I found that if you train with others, like you said, it pushes you just a little bit, especially if you don't want to, or especially if you're like, I'll just half-ass this workout. No, there are other people that push you. If you can get around 4 or 5 solid guys that are better than you, and want to push you. It's like that saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, find new friends or something.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. And so did all the training, and then I really do have Clayton Crellin to thank for pushing me to go back to the Philippines, because I almost didn't. And we played.
Not giving up on it.
Yeah, and I almost did. Honestly, I almost did, because I was just so mentally drained. And he went, and the thing I love about him is he's fearless when it comes to that stuff. He's just like, let's just go. I'm like, he went first, and then I was like, okay,
see what happens.
Yeah, and then we got our speak of the devil. He just shared something with me on my phone.
No way.
He knows I'm thinking of him.
So you went in by yourself the first year, didn't work out. You guys both went in the second year, went together.
Yeah, went together, played for the same team, and it was the funnest experience. Biggest transition for me was just like the realization that this is real. I'm playing professional. I'm actually getting paid. I'm actually getting paid to play basketball, because that's the difference between the amateur and the pros. That the amateurs pay to play, and then the pros get paid to play. And I think that was when I finally realized, wow, I actually did it. And then you're not you probably know, like, you're not satisfied with just making it.
What's the next one?
Yeah.
What's
So
the next one?
What's my next step? What's my next, And
did you find a way to like stop for a second though and kind of smell the roses, like, and enjoy that moment, like after all that hard work and all that hardship?
Oh yeah. Me and Clay talked about it multiple times. We're like, yo, we're here. We're actually playing. Like, we're getting paid. This is sick. This is a dream of ours. Blah blah blah. And again, it comes back to even then, I was still struggling with the nerves. I was still struggling with the pressure. I was still struggling with self-doubt before games. And I really honed into you can call it like a message to yourself or meditation or an incantation or whatever. But I would say this to myself before every single game. It's possible to live my dream. It's necessary that I work on myself, surround myself with winners, become creative. It's me. I got to make it happen. It's not over until I win. I'm the one. I'm the one. I'm the one. I refuse to be a common man. It's my right to be uncommon if I can, to seek opportunity, not security. I do not wish to be kept citizen, humbled, and dull by having the state look after me. I wish to take the calculated risk to dream, to build, to fail, to succeed. I refuse to live from hand to mouth. I prefer the challenges of life to the mere guaranteed existence, the thrill of fulfillment to the still calm of utopia. And I would fucking repeat that in my brain every single game before the game. I would jump up and down. I would do my breathing exercise, and I would visualize the ball going into the hoop. I'd visualize my defender not having a chance to defend me. I would visualize these things, and it would come true. And I had that's what put me in the state of certainty. It put me in a state of certainty that I knew that I was going to win. And I always think of Mike Tyson. You know Mike Tyson? Obviously. When he's like, yeah, no, hit him. Best, one of the best boxers, never hit. He's like, before I got into the ring, I already knew I won. And I remember when I heard him, I was never at his level of certainty, but I got an inkling of what he meant by that. Because before we got into the court, I knew that we were going to win. I knew
how the battle is won before you even get started.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's always, man, I always found it that it was a battle between me and me. Always. And that was my way of getting into that state of certainty, is to say that to myself and visualize and just be in my own world before the game started. And
that's huge, because that's exactly what this whole mental training, mental coaching, performance coaching is like, you can be the most talented in the world, but if you're not able to bring it to the court, and it's just talent, it's just potential sitting in the background.
Exactly.
And it's not really making a difference, right? It's finding that way. And you've done it spectacularly. We're finding that visualization and finding that state of mind. And that verse, I was amped listening to you say it, man. I'm ready.
Even now,
8:30 I'm here. I'm ready to play. Like, so yeah, it's finding those ways to bring that potential outwards, right? Not just being a good practice player where there's no one in the crowd and you can be, hitting 10 for 10 and putting up numbers, but that doesn't really matter. Can you do it when the pressure's on? Can you do it when the lights are on? Can you do it last minute of the game? Can you do it if you're a little bit injured? Can you do it if you got? I know personally, like in pro ball, there's a whole other side that a lot of people don't get to experience and see, where it's like with management and contracts and all this pressure stuff that in a perfect world you wouldn't have to deal with it, but that's in the background as well. Can you perform now that your agent's been calling you for the last couple of weeks, or the management's acting up, or whatever, for whatever reasons they may have? Can you still bring those results for it? That's where that mental side comes about. That's really cool. But I'm just in awe of the story. Like, it's such a crazy road, and
it was.
I'm really happy we did it. Beyond the value that it will have for people, just getting to know you more personally and hearing that it's such a cool story. I would say like how do you think that discipline, like how do we cultivate that? Like, how do we get to that point where, and I'm guessing from summer to summer it's gotten easier. Like, you could, like at some point it must have been like automatic, because you've been doing it for so long. Obviously there's still that challenge of getting up and turning off that little voice in our head, but how do we cultivate that muscle that we call self-discipline? Because who like you knows the value that it has, not only as a player and a pro athlete, but in life in general.
I think it's like you said, it's like a muscle, right? The more you flex it and the more strain that you put on it, the stronger it gets. And to be able to cultivate that self-discipline, I think you really have to know why you're doing it. Why will you wake up in the morning before the sun gets up, before everyone else gets up? Why are you dedicating hours, and why are you dedicating you're literally trading your life for this passion of yours, for this sport.
Mhm.
So why are you literally going to trade your time and life on this planet for this sport? What is that reason? And for me, I really fell in love with, I know it sounds weird, but I really fell in love with the pain and
Mhm.
the hardship and how hard it was to do something that most people aren't willing to do, and being able
Mhm.
to say that I conquered my mind. I conquered my mind multiple times over and over and over again. It has no control over me. I control my mind. It is
Mhm.
not the controller of me. And when you have that empowering feeling, it gets stronger and stronger, just like a muscle. And
Mhm.
when when you I think for it became automatic because I did it so much, and I know a lot of people here listening, like if you work out every single morning, if you play a sport, it was weird not to go train at one point. It felt foreign for my body not to go to the gym and shoot. It felt
Mhm.
foreign for my body not to go work out, as if it was well, I'll never say it was easy, but it got
It's become a part of you.
yeah,
Like once you do sign, there's the whole 90-day rule and all that
yeah,
to
whatever
become
it
a habit.
yeah,
It
it's
became
whatever
a
it is
part of
you
you.
do. It could be 21 days, it could be 90 days, it could
Mm.
be whatever. It's not. It doesn't matter how many days it is. It's just when you feel in your heart, soul, and mind that this is now a part of your
Mhm.
existence. But it's the same. It's the same principle. Use it or lose it. The less you use it, the faster you'll lose it. And
Mm.
so you work this muscle. It's like working out. It's like you work the muscle. If you don't work the muscle, you lose it. It's the same thing with discipline. Like
You're
what?
not gonna keep those results. You're not gonna keep those gains. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's gonna go away fast too. Like who knows that if you're in shape and if you don't do anything for a week now, whatever you
yeah,
built up in 6 months will
yeah.
go away like
Yeah, exactly. And it's so annoying how it's like that. It's like you work so freaking hard to get it, and then you're like, it's gone in like a week.
keeps you on your point, keeps you on your toes. I love that, man, because there's this great sentence of figure out your why and the how will take care of itself. Like
Oh
if you're
yeah,
really keen on your why and you know exactly and you can really be specific about it,
yeah.
the how you'll find a way. Like there's always a way. You'll find that how.
There's always a way, and
Hmm.
there's there's always an answer. It's like this too shall pass. It's like whatever pain you're in, this too shall pass. You'll always find a way. You'll always find an answer if you're willing to look for it and what you're
Hmm.
focusing on. But
And I love that thing about falling in love with the hardship. Like I've talked about it in a few episodes where
mhm,
um, just training. I've talked about like with weight training, like just training your mind to enjoy that last rep.
yeah,
Like that, if you do 10 reps and you're done, that 11th rep will have
do
more
one
value
more.
than one more.
Yeah,
Like Ronnie Coleman,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It's not even the physical. It's the
Right.
mental. It's like I don't think I can
That
do it. And then you do it again. You do one more rep, and you're like, oh wow, oh, I probably could have done four more actually. But
right. That
so
11th rep will hold more value than those past 10
yeah,
because
and
it's teaching your brain to go past that threshold. Like you're
yes,
saying, when
exactly.
it's on the runs, when it's waking up at 5 a.m.,
Yeah,
when it's pushing that last rep, it's almost like training your mind to do beyond what it
it,
thinks it's capable of. And
it
it's like it's
is.
as if that muscle of like surprising yourself and knowing what you're really capable of and how much, like you said, maybe I can do four more.
Yeah,
Like the
100%.
body's capable of so much more.
Yeah, and the same thing. It is a muscle. It's you push yourself past that threshold where you think
Hmm.
that's your limit, but really you have more in your tank. And everyone that's listening to this can attest that at some point in their life they had that moment of wow, I did more than I thought I could, and I know I'm capable of more. Sometimes I'm not in my power, sometimes I'm out of certainty, sometimes I'm not in a good state, and that's why it happens. And that's why it's super important
Hmm.
to be able to flex that muscle of certainty through whatever. For me, it was visualization and just saying that to myself. It could be different for everyone, whatever it is that gets you into that state of certainty. That's why I really recommend the book, any book by Tony Robbins or around, just listening to them. I always listen to them in my car. It's just like they call it a drive-by university. It's just like listen. I'm just used to listening.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What is it? Podcast? Drive by University? What is it?
No, they just say when you're driving.
Oh, like to listen to books on the road?
Listen to something that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Feeds your brain or something.
That's cool. No, man, super cool. Like just working that muscle. If we go on to the next thing and we talk a little bit about pressure, not just as an athlete, but off the court too, like where you meet it in your work settings and in life throughout. How would you define that first and foremost? How do you define pressure?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think pressure is this feeling that comes about when you are very uncomfortable. When you feel like there it is. When you feel uncomfortable and you know you're just about to pass a certain threshold, that's when you know there is pressure put on you. And this quote just came up in mind. It's like through hard pressure, that's how you create diamonds.
Through adversity.
And through adversity, yeah. And there's another quote that just came to me. Do you know Wayne Dyer? He said that when it's like an orange, if you squeeze an orange juice will come out. And the guy's like, what do you mean? He's like, when there's pressure applied to somebody, when there's true pressure applied to somebody, what is inside them will come out. What is truly inside them will come out. They can say
true self.
They can say they're an apple, but orange juice will come out. You know what I mean?
That's good. I like that. Yeah, for sure. You'll see the true person come out. Yeah.
100%. And
are you gonna break? Are you gonna push through it? Are you gonna do what you said you were gonna do? You set out to do?
Exactly. And it's like you can say it all day long, but when push comes to shove, what are you gonna do when there's pressure? What are you gonna do when there is actual this uncomfortable, like wholly uncomfortable feeling that you can feel in your gut? The real pressure comes. That's when you really know who you truly are. Like I said in the beginning, I think this journey that we're on in life is just a question of who is Glenn, who is Sean, who am I, what am I really capable of, and why am I on this planet? What am I supposed to do? What's my purpose?
It's an ongoing process, right? Like whenever I always love the sentence, like there is no finish line. Thinking that one day it's going to be done and you're just going to sit feet up. Like it's not. It's that continuous growth of that looking inwards and keep finding out new things and keep finding out new methods of development. With that pressure, like how would you deal with it? Would it be unprofessional? What method would you use? Would it on or off the court to still perform it at your highest level?
Like I said, it was the visualization of what I wanted and the consistent working of that muscle of visualization. You can call it meditation, you can call it anything, but to me, it was my form of meditation before a game was to be played, when the pressure was on. So before I did fold, but now being able to really own in on who I was as a person and what I needed to work on. This sport, it's never about this sport. It's about you. It's about who you're going into, who you're going to become. And that's why I love sport in general, any sport, because it really pushes you to become someone that you're meant to be. And that's how I dealt with the pressure. It was through that visualization and getting into that state of certainty before every game. And you can do that for anything in life.
Yeah. What would you visualize specifically if it was before a game?
I'd visualize certain, like, you know how you have your go-to moves. Also, we're in
your spots on the floor.
Yeah. I would visualize my go-to moves with the defender in front of me, and sometimes I would picture the other team who I knew would guard me in front of me, and visualize him. If I, cross over to the left, he'd go to the right. Just things like that. I'd close my eyes and I'd visualize the ball go in constantly. And I'd visualize myself playing defense. You'd visualize yourself either directly through your own eyes, or you can visualize yourself indirectly as if a spectator. So I would do both. I would do both to get myself into an absolute state of certainty when I did that. And you got it. And for me, I had to do both. If I did just one, it would be a little more difficult. But everyone's different. You can do one, you can do both. It doesn't matter.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
I remember at the beginning where I would start doing it, I would always visualize the positive things that can happen, like me scoring or us winning the game or whatever. And then at some point, I remember where I heard it, but I started visualizing the failures too, because those are going to come up throughout a game or throughout life. And how do you deal with that? Like, you know what I mean? Like I'd visualize like a no call or something, or I'd visualize a bad foul call or an aggressive, like someone, what's it called? Like hack-a-shacking me or whatever, like an aggressive foul. Like, how do you respond? Do you break now? Do you point your energy at the refs or at the other team, or do you consistently stay focused on your task and on your goal?
So true.
It was really interesting. Yeah. What's that?
True. No, it's so true. During the game, you're going to be pushed off that certainty. I just thought of it now. You triggered it. You're going to be pushed off that certainty, and when there is a bad call, or when the ball doesn't go in when you thought it was going to go in, it's how you react to those failures as if they were successes. And that's pressure too. That's pressure too. That's where you really find out who you are when things don't go your way.
In the method that we work with, it's called FTC. It's like I told you about Oded Kravchik, the guy that he works with Omri Kaspi, the Israeli NBA player, and that's how I got to get to know him and start working with him and learn his methods, doing his courses. It's talking about FTC as freedom to choose. Like at any given point in life, you have the right. You have the only. How do you call it in English? You have no control over your life. Like anything can happen. It's God. It's this greater force, whatever you want to call it. The universe, energy. The one thing you have control of always is your thoughts. Like how do you respond to what happens? And in that situation, for example, in a game, like a ref would make a bad call, and you'd have a no call. You cannot respond by being upset. You can be on the bench now, being upset and kind of getting that negative, wheel going. And now you're back on the court and you're playing not as well as you would have beforehand, or you can catch it right at that point. And that's what we were talking about, visualizing, like not to get thrown off that path. And still now I got the freedom to choose. I can control my thoughts and how do I respond, stay on that track, stay on that thing. So even if I'm on the bench, I'm positive. Even if it be in work or in my career and something bad happened, I'm still positive. I'm still working towards my goal. I'm not falling off track and now beginning this negative cycle where I get back on the court, I'm going to perform negatively. Like I'm still on that path. It's super cool.
Yeah.
If we touch on self-doubt, I know it meets all of us at some point in our lives. Like nobody's perfect and 100% confident, all throughout. And talk a little bit about that. You did touch on it before.
Yeah.
Where has it met you and how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, we're all human, and everyone has that self-doubt at some point in their, with anything in their career. That's for me, specifically for basketball. And it always, you're saying self-doubt. What really, the antithesis of self-doubt is confidence. And so when I was at University of Western Ontario, there was this, it's so crazy how these things just trigger certain thoughts. 1 second.
You feel like you're back there, right?
Yeah, my computer's just back. I got it. I think of this. There was this plaque that was just above the door of our locker room, and it said, "Preparation breeds confidence," and the antithesis of self-doubt is confidence, and again, certainty. And so when I prepared before the game, when I prepared myself mentally, not just physically, but when I prepared myself mentally before the game through my visualizations, through my meditation, through my incantation, or my saying, my verse, I can't even find the
That
word.
mantra almost, right? You can
Mantra,
almost
there you
call
go.
it.
That mantra, it pushed the self-doubt aside. To put me into that state of absolute certainty, and that's how I dealt with it before games. And I do that, and it's crazy because you can. I really did carry on the self-discipline, the dealing with pressure, the self-doubt. I really battling the self-doubt. I really carried that into my like everyday life, even till today. And because of basketball, I am very disciplined with everything I do. Like, I have a morning routine where I wake up, I stretch for 30 minutes I have to stretch for 30 minutes. I have to take a cold shower. I have to do my breathing every morning. I have to do my goals and gratitudes, my visualizations. I have to do that every single morning. And it's become like a part of me now. And I brought that self-discipline and being able to knock away the self-doubt for anything through that exact same process. And again, it's like a muscle. The more you do it, the stronger you become, and the easier it feels. And, yeah, it's crazy how it translates into the real world. That's what I love. That's what I say. I love sport. I love what it does for people and what it did for me.
What was the thing that they wrote? I believe that so much too, that they wrote above the locker room there. What was the sentence? Was it Western?
It was the University of Western Ontario. Yeah, above the locker was this purple. I could see it. It was this purple like plastic square. It was engraved with preparation breeds confidence. And the more you prepare, and that could be in any way. It could be physical, but for me, it was the mental preparation that I needed to do in order to feel confident. And so when that self-doubt creeped in, you were already armed.
I've done the work. Like, I already taken the shot.
Yeah.
I've already made this move. I've already been this, especially with the visualization, like you said before. I've already been here. Like, I know how to respond to the situation. I've gone through it in my head.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Yeah. I tell the kids I work with all the time, whether it be in English or in math or in ball or in any sport, it's like, you can't come to the game expecting to succeed having not done the work.
Yeah, it's
like where would your confidence stem from? Yeah, like what you expect to make the shot, you expect to make the kick without having practiced it. It's the whole thing of preparation and doing the work prior to the competition, prior to the test, prior to whatever it may be in career and work.
It comes to mind. One of my friends told me, he's like, I can't remember. It was just this professional athlete, football player, and he was getting paid. I think this was like 10 years ago. I think he was getting paid like a ridiculous amount of money. Let's say like 30 million, like a season or something. And there were a lot of like people, like haters, that said, "Oh, he doesn't deserve that money. It's his first year. He's a rookie. All that stuff." And then I remember him saying, "Dude, he's not getting paid for that year of being professional, man. He's getting paid for all the years before that that he didn't see any result monetarily, at least. All the work he put in, that he's getting paid for that. He's not getting paid right now for being pro. He's getting paid
all
for
those years, all
like,
that put in."
Yeah. And when he said that,
I got goosebumps. Yeah.
So true, man.
100%.
So true, because we live in a world of immediate gratification. You know, you work 2 weeks, you get paid, whatever. But sometimes the result won't show up for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6, 7, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. You have to have that mindset that it might take a decade.
Right.
And I think of Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Antetokounmpo, yeah. He's got a crazy story too, yeah.
Yeah, and
being a water boy.
Yeah, like I look back at when he first started in the league, and it was 9 years when he won his championship.
Right.
So 9 years. 9 years.
And think about how many years in Greece, I think, before he even got to the league, right? Just working on himself, and how nobody's going to celebrate your process. That's you.
Yeah,
maybe your close ones, maybe your loved ones, maybe your dog. But other than that, like nobody's going to celebrate you along the way. Once you get there, people are going to start taking notice. But you got to be able to, and that's why I think what you said before, I love it. I have it written down on my wall, like figure out your why, and the how will take care of itself. When you're so clear about your why, nothing can stand in your way. When that context is so vivid and so strong, it's only a matter of time. And then you're enjoying that process. You're not kind of, like you said, we all have those mornings where we're working against ourselves and we're kind of our own worst enemy.
Yeah.
But you always come back to that context and come back to that why. It makes it easier.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I see it. The last I see, I'm being conscious of the time. Maybe we'll get this in too, just really quickly, like a couple minutes. Like, how do you continue this process today now that you're not playing and you got your career and you got your business and everything? How do you continue that process today of bettering yourself and still building that self-discipline?
Right. Yeah, like I said, I have a morning routine that I have to do every single morning. Stretching, cold shower, the breathing, the goals and gratitudes, and then the visualization of those goals and gratitudes every single morning. And yeah, like I said, it puts me into this state of certainty, and I'm just like, it just makes me happier in the morning. I just like feel good when I do it, and it's repeat. You just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Consistency.
Yeah, exactly. Consistently and consistency. That's how I brought it into my life, into my business. Certain goals or I call them promises.
I like that.
Yeah, I got it. I didn't make it up. One of my mentors, he's a hedge fund manager. I think he manages like a ridiculous amount of money, and that's where I want to get to, because it's not only just like, it's the person he is. He's just like such an honest man, and that's the type of people I want to be around. Like I said, if you can surround yourself with people that are better than you, that are more disciplined than you, that are better with their money, that are I don't know, have really good relationships with their spouses, or have really big businesses. If you can get around people that are better than you, it literally forces you to push yourself even more. And that's another, again, like I said, it's another thing that I encourage everyone listening to do, is to get around 4 or 5 people that you
show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Yeah. Yeah, so true. And
that's cool.
Yeah. And to answer your question, that's good.
That's dope. Yo, maybe I'm creating it right now. The next podcast will be about investing and about financial and that whole mental side of that. You'll continue to grow your business, and the next one will be on that. I'm into it too. Like, since Corona, I've been keen into that world, and we could do it. I think that'd be a really cool conversation.
Oh, I'm down. I'm starting with the company to become they call them coaches, like teachers, coaches, and so just waiting to get the training for that. So I'd love to share with you guys what I learned.
Cool.
From yeah.
Let me know. We'll be in touch. We'll be in constant touch now that we've kind of rekindled our romance. The last 2 questions I always touch on, I always love to ask. The first one is, how do you define performance and success? Either or both.
How do I define performance and success?
Yeah, like 2 different definitions.
I'd say performance is you being able to do something something, being able to do something certain to the best of who you are, to the best of your ability. That is your performance. That is your peak performance. And my definition of success, that's, to me, I think my definition of success, so I'll explain why. This goes back to Tony Robbins too again. There's six human needs. Have you heard of them?
I think so.
So there's 6 human needs: 4 of the personality and 2 of the spirit. So 4 of the personality are certainty, uncertainty. So or variety. So let's say you sit in a chair, you want to know that the chair is going to
hold you. Yeah.
Hold you. You want a building, you know that your building's not going to crash. God's funny this way, where he makes it like you need the certainty, but you also need the uncertainty. You need the variety, or else you just go crazy. And then, so the switch up of a routine or whatever. That's what. And then there's significance. So the feeling of being significant, feeling that you're different, feeling that you're one of a kind, everything. And then the need of love. So whether it's from your creator, from God, from the people around you, from your spouse, from your siblings, from your parents. So those are the 4 needs of the personality, and the 2 needs of the spirit are growth and contribution. So my definition of success is when I'm growing into Glenn, into who I'm supposed to be, and when you're giving not only to yourself but to others. And I think that is my definition of success.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. We talked a little bit on the phone about it too, and yeah, that whole giving without expecting anything in return is so huge. And it makes sense, man. Knowing you, it makes sense that that's how you would define success. And yeah, really want to acknowledge you for the person you are, man. And it's cool that through this we've kind of reconnected, and we're gonna stay in touch now. And it's been years, and how time flies, man, since those days at Cap, and so many great people I've met from there. Honestly, I've had a couple teams, whether it be in college or in the pros here, where it's funny. It's like the season was whatever, but the people I met on that team, like, have become my friends for life. Whether it be that year at Cap and the year out here as well, where honestly we didn't have a great year. We're one of the worst teams in the league that year, but the people I met that year, I've become like 5, 6 of them have become some of my best friends. So it's really cool how it turns out. And I just really want to acknowledge you for the type of person you are, and for coming on. And I learned a lot from you just being around you, man. And I know your spouse now, and your future kids, and all the people that you're going to touch throughout your life and throughout your work, and whether it be in training or in capital management and everything, or through this podcast or whatever you choose to do in the future, has a huge impact, man. You're one of those people that with just a few words or simple action can cause a big change, and I really appreciate you. Yeah.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you.
That's cool, man.
Thank you for the words. Thank you for the words.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's about an hour. Thanks for you joining us. Whoever joined us live and took part in that, and whoever's going to listen to this in the future. If you found value in this episode for yourself, if you can imagine a person in your lives that you could give this value to and can gain a lot of value and a positive impact from this episode, I urge you to share and follow us. I have all the different platforms on the post. And thank you for joining us. And thanks, Glenn, man. It's been a pleasure. Till next time.
Yeah. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you.